Yo, what it do? This is the 100-Yard Dash Football Podcast. Thanks for joining me. My name is you. That's the letter, not the word. And I'm your host. This is the 100-Yard Dash where I'm talking about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. I got my co-host here with me. Aaliyah, say hi. No? Okay. Hi. From end zone to end zone, all 100 yards in between. You can find this podcast in most places that you get your podcast: Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, so forth, so on, and what have you. I do this thing about it once a week, unless it's last week. That's a whole nother story. I was going to say it's another story for a different time, but hey, when you got 5 kids, things pop up. So last week I'm headed to do the podcast in the studio, and I hear my son holler for me, and he's got stuff coming out both ends. So I had to take care of him, and so that kind of so duty called, I guess, basically. So anyway, we keep it moving. Today we got a lot to talk about. I mean, we down to the wire, and like it's only 18 weeks in the NFL season. So you down to the last month of football. The last month of football. So I want to talk before we hop into the pros. I'm not really a college guy. I only look at college football to look at the potential draft picks that will be coming up in next year's draft. So I won't be. I paid attention to it, but I won't be paying attention to the combine, and that ain't till a few months from now, a couple months from now. So I want to talk about Coach Prime. Coach Prime is leaving Jackson State, or I'm sorry, leaves Jackson State to be the head coach at Colorado. And I know this is much maligned. This is a much maligned decision by him to do what he's doing. Over the past 2 years, he was the head coach at Jackson State, which a candidate with the name of Deion Sanders. It was kind of a shock for him to go to Jackson State to begin with. But I appreciate what Prime has done over the past 2 years being the head coach at Jackson State. And there are some people that are upset. There are some people disappointed. And there's some people even mad about Deion leaving. And I have one question. What else was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to win championship upon CWAC championship? Is that SWAC championships upon SWAC championships? No. No. If you thought that was going to happen, then you don't know Prime. Well, I mean, let's be honest. I don't really know Prime. But based on the things that he's exhibited over his professional career, Jackson State wasn't going to be able to keep him there. It just wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. We're talking about a guy who told a team not to draft him, which is not uncommon, obviously. It's not uncommon. But he told a team that they would have to pay him so much money. Like, that's crazy. And so we also know that Deion Sanders looks up to and wants to be treated like Nick Saban. And in this game, he will not be treated like Nick Saban in the CWAC. He will not be treated like Nick Saban. And I hate to say it, coaching any team that is not Division One top blue blood type schools. Okay, that's not happening. He wants to be prime. This is the guy that you wanted. And I, and to say that he used Jackson State as a stepping stone is incorrect. He was there and he was all in. All in. He was all in. He brought his kids. He recruited. Some of those kids are staying. It was a big deal. So I appreciate Prime for what he did in the past 2 years. And he couldn't just go. He couldn't. There was no other place to go. Was he supposed to travel other teams in the CWAC? And then I looked at what Colorado was paying him, and this is not to say this. All of this is not to say that I did not root for him. I definitely wanted him to stay a couple more years, but I understand why he would leave. I get it. And I read an article that says Deion Sanders is scheduled to earn 5.5 million in his first season. In his first season, with a base salary of $500,000. With $500,000, he got appearances, promotions, all that extra stuff that goes with a normal contract. The man is going from $300,000 to 5.9 million. How in the world are you going to turn down an offer like that? I'm gonna ask y'all, doing basically the same job at a higher echelon, on a higher echelon, the same job you doing right now, on a more grander scale, the same job, same responsibilities, same everything. They just expect a little bit more of you, expect more performance and everything. But can you honestly say that you would not take another job that offers you, I don't even know the percentage more. I had it somewhere. I don't even remember where I put it. I had the percentage of how much difference in percentage wise is $300,000 to 5.9 million. That is immaterial. But can you honestly say that you would pass that up? I don't think you would, because I know I wouldn't. Maybe you would, and if you would, that's on you. But 300,000 to 5.9 million, I will take it. I will take it. And I know Deion's got his money. He's got money, Aflac money, but he doesn't. His goal, his goal was never. His goal is to be like Nick Saban. And how do you be like Nick Saban? It's not winning CWAC championships. It's winning Power Five conference championships. It's winning national championships. And this is the way to do it. This is the way to do it. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Week 14. Let's go. All right, this week, week 14. So we had the week 14 buys. Atlanta Falcons, Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, Indianapolis Colts, New Orleans Saints, and the Washington, I almost called them the Wizards, the Washington Commanders all were off this week. And that's because everybody had to play during Thanksgiving week, since we got 17 games now. Everybody had to play during Thanksgiving week, and that's cool. Anyway, let's get to this recap. The Raiders at the Rams. So Baker Mayfield has ended up finding his way in LA, finding his way to LA from Carolina. And he shows up with all odds against him. He shows up the same week that they're supposed to play and everything like that. But he ends up coming out of there with a win. And the thing about Baker Mayfield is he kind of I think his whole persona is built around performing when the chips are down, or when everything's against him, performing when people don't expect him to be anything much at all. And I think this is I don't want to say a perfect situation for him, but I think this is a good situation for him to. I don't know how Matthew Stafford's progressing in his recovery. I'm pretty sure he should retire next year, but who am I to say that? Who am I to say that he should or shouldn't? But Baker Mayfield, if Matthew Stafford actually does retire, then Baker Mayfield would probably be there to compete for the job. Um, and I think he will succeed because that's one of the things he does. He he performs when all the odds are against him. So that's the time he performs his best. When he got pushed out of Texas Tech by Patrick Mahomes, he went to Oklahoma, had himself such a career. I mean, it just keeps happening. So anyway, yeah, they lose. The Raiders lose 16-17. Rams win. The Raiders are 5-8. The Rams are 4-9. So that was not a game I was interested in watching, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, let's go on to the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 16-14. The Ravens are 9-4. The Steelers are 6-8, which is surprising to me. I'm sorry, they're 5-8. Whatever. The Rams. It's different this year, and so um, with that being said, the Ravens won with a third string quarterback, Anthony Brown, turnover free. And let's throw this out there. J.K. Dobbins went in on the boys, right? J.K. Dobbins, J.K. as some say, all day. I'm not one of those guys, but you know, he made it do what it do, right? And so he went crazy. 15 carries for 120 yards. 15 carries for 120 yards. That's dope. And the Ravens are getting back to their identity. But we'll see what happens. They're first in the AFC. They're first in the AFC North, if I'm not mistaken. The Steelers are a great run stopping team, but they were not on Sunday. Steelers are top 10 defense against the run. Not today. Not today, Satan. Not today. So we keep it moving. The Cleveland Browns lose to the Cincinnati Bengals as the Bengals continue to do what they do. I hate this. The Bengals are at the point. How do you say it? Bengals, whatever. I'm saying it how it looks. Bengals, I guess. But anyway, the Bengals are this is their fifth win in a row. The fifth win in a row. This wasn't particularly a great game for um, the quarterback. Why does his name escape me right now? But but when you got a guy like Chase, when you got a receiver like Chase, man, it just opens so many things up for your offense. I expected the Bengals offense to be good, but the defense is the point that I'm trying to make. The defense is playing complementary football. The defense is playing complementary football to an offense that is really, really good, right? And so They got 17 pressures on Deshaun Watson, 1 sack, and they held Nick Chubb under 100 yards. In fact, they held the man under 50. And Nick Chubb is slowing down. He started red hot in the beginning, and he's slowly declining. I'm not saying he's declining, but his run production is declining, slowly but surely. But even still, Nick Chubb is a bad dude. But the Bengals defense is they were able to hold him down for a little bit. And it's gonna be interesting moving forward to see how they continue to progress. The Bengals defense, how they continue to progress um, during these last 4 games and into the playoffs. Because if they end up playing complementary football like I think that they could, they're gonna be tough for a lot of teams. They're already tough for the Chiefs. So this could be very bad for the AFC. This could be very bad for the AFC. Let's go down to the Texans at the Cowboys. You know what? Forget the Texans and the Cowboys. This wasn't even a game worth talking about. Texans lose to the Cowboys. Cowboys win 27-23. Takes Cowboys to 10-3, and Houston goes to 1-15-1. I'm not talking about this game because we all know what the Houston Texans. I don't know if they're trying to do it, but they definitely are. So they're definitely on the number one 2023 draft pick. So it is what it is on that one. Let's go to Jacksonville. Or I guess it would be Tennessee technically because they were at Tennessee. The Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Tennessee Titans in their own house, 36-22. The Jacksonville Jags are 5-8, and the Tennessee Titans are 7-6. I was very complimentary of. I was very, very complimentary of man, Mike Vrabel. I mean, why are names escaping me right now? I was very, very complimentary of Mike Vrabel. As soon as I was complimentary of that dude, he starts losing. What is going on? What is really going on? They're spiraling out of control here. I was heaping praise on Vrabel like 4 or 5 weeks ago, 3, 4 weeks ago on this podcast. And now it's all unraveling. And I don't know what that's all about. It's all unraveling. But hey, Jacksonville sprung out a good win on this one. This is actually a really good win for them. I'm starting to see what the number one draft pick is starting to look like. He made very good decisions in this game. He looked like a number one draft pick. When I can argue he hasn't looked like that before. So let's keep it moving to the Minnesota Vikings. And wouldn't you know it, they lose to Dan Campbell's kneecap biting Lions. What we're seeing with this head coach, with Dan Campbell, is that we're starting to see a little bit of seasoning on him. Like, and I'm gonna attribute to fresh cut wood. I've been chopping wood all summer, gathering wood all summer for this winter. I still didn't get enough, but whatever. Anyway, freshly cut wood, it doesn't burn. Freshly cut wood don't burn. But give it some time. Let it dry out a little bit. Get a little seasoning on the wood. And guess what? It's starting to burn. Dan Campbell's team cooked him up some kneecaps, some Viking kneecap sandwiches. That wood is starting to burn. Dan Campbell is really maturing as a head coach, and I like it. Let's go to the Jets at the Buffalo Bills. I'm kind of running through these because I'm trying to keep it 30 minutes or so. But the Jets at the Buffalo Bills, the Jets lose to the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo scores 20, Jets score 12. The Jets are 7-5. The Bills are 10-3. So the Jets are losing. They lost 2 in a row with this loss to Buffalo and a lot of injuries that they had to go through. One of the huge loss is Quentin Williams, and I haven't checked back to see exactly how his situation is right now, but that's a huge loss in the middle for them. Quentin Williams is big time, and I think he probably could have been in the running for, or I think he is in the running for defensive rookie of the year. Not rookie of the year, defensive player of the year, because he is wreaking havoc in that run game and with the Jets. But also Mike White was injured. Mike White, their quarterback, was injured as well. But he also came into the game, back into the game, which is dope for them because it shows that he has a relent in him that he's not going to give up, and that's dope. And especially coming off of what they have with Zach Wilson, yeah, it's good to see somebody out there playing for the team and doing what they can to make it do what it do, right? So that's dope. Let's go on to the Philadelphia Eagles in this game against the New York Giants, where they just put it on them. 48-22. Philadelphia beats the stuffing out of the New York Giants, and they improved to 12-1. And looks like the Giants are 7-5-1. The Giants started off hot. Now they're cooling off a little bit. Philly started hot, as we know. And except for that one game, which that one game wasn't an anomaly. But if you don't watch it, that one game could snowball into a slew of bad games. Philadelphia made sure that didn't happen. There was really nothing but questions surrounding the Eagles organization when Peterson was sent packing and they left Sirianni in charge up there. But it's come up all aces for Howie Roseman. Eagles look stronger than ever. Their play is relentless. They looked good. They look really good, except for that 1 week where they lost. They look really good. And the Giants, they've been on borrowed time all year. They've been on borrowed time all season. Giants, let's move on down to the Chiefs and the Broncos. The Chiefs beat the Broncos 34-28. And normally, if you told me the Chiefs scored 34 points, I would think it was relatively easy. But this game was weird. But first of all, let's go to Travis Kelce, who is the tight end with the fewest games to get to 10,000 yards by a tight end. Dope. That's dope. Mahomes had a 56 no look pass to McKinnon. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, how can I say this? I love the no look pass, but it's marred by 3 interceptions, if you understand what I'm saying. It's marred by 3 interceptions. Those are the interceptions that literally kept Denver in the game. When he threw the first interception, I think Denver went on a 21-0 run. Not good. One thing I will say, Russell Wilson did get hurt. He's trying to do the most he could to get this team back to winning. He understood what this game really meant and how he could redeem himself of this season's woes. He figured out how he could redeem himself, and he was going for it until when he hit that turf, boy, it was bad, and he's got that knot on the side of his head. But he's in concussion protocol. Prayers out for him. Hope he's doing all right with he and his family. But Brett Rippon came in. And he was doing all right for a little bit. Then he finished the game and threw an interception. So That is what it is. So we keep it moving. The Panthers at the Seahawks. So this is back-to-back win for the Panthers. Look at y'all. Look at y'all. They're only one game behind the Bucks in the division, which is the NFC South. Um, Seattle could not stop the run, nor could they run on offense. What was up with that? Carolina got to a lead, they nursed it, and it could have really got them beat had there been more time. But time didn't allot, and they pulled out the win 30-24. And Carolina's 5-8, Seattle 7-5. I mean 7-6. My bad. 7-6. Let's go down to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers. They beat the tar. The 49ers beat the tar out of Tampa Bay. The 49ers beat the tar out of Tampa Bay. I love it. The 49ers improved to 9-4, and Tampa Bay improved or doesn't improve to 6-7. Now, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, felt like he led the 49ers to 28 points in little to no time. But I think it was because the Bucks couldn't score for the whole first half, right? And of course, I don't care. I mean, I don't care to talk about the Bucks. I think Debo left in the second with a high ankle sprain, which I believe they'll be keeping him out of the game until probably the playoffs. And of course, Christian McCaffrey running like the beast that he is, 14 carries for 114 yards. So congratulations to the 49ers. The Bucks are pretty washed. The Bucks are pretty washed. And I just think this is going to lead to some sort of collision course with Tom Brady ending his career in New England. Probably it could not, because there's other options for him, but it just seems like that to me. Let's move on to the Miami Dolphins at the Los Angeles Chargers. I almost called them San Diego again. Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers beat the Dolphins 23-17. Chargers are 7-6. The Dolphins are 8-5. See, the Dolphins, Tua just never got into a rhythm. Tua never got into a rhythm. 10 for 28, which is only 35%. This is his second bad game in a row. And with the whole Tyreek situation, I think Tyreek is out to prove that he don't like. It don't matter whether whether I got Patrick Mahomes or anybody else. He can do it without either of them. And I think that's what he's out to prove. Because he might not have got the receiving yards, but he still did his thing in this game with that, especially with that scoop and score that he did, 58 yards or whatever from the fumble recovery. So it's crazy. Tyreek is that dude. And every time somebody talks bad about him, like now I don't want to say talk bad, but you know, Steve Smith Sr. talking about he's not a pure hands catcher. That just fuels Tyreek Hill. And I'm rooting for it. I'm here for it. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. The Chargers win without Derwin James. What else? And this is one thing I noticed is this is one of Staley's best game plans that he called in game. His best game plan that he called in game. And it was executed greatly. The Chargers to me are a team that can beat anybody, but the Chargers are also a team that can lose to anybody. How can you be both? I don't know. Just look at the Chargers. Just look at the Chargers. So we keep it moving. New England Patriots beat the Arizona Cardinals last night. The Cardinals are going nowhere fast. New England Patriots scored 27. The Cardinals scored 13. New England 7-6. Cardinals are 4-9. The Cardinals are going nowhere really fast. It's all it's like circling the drain. You might as well flush the toilet. And it's all headed down. Kyler got injured and Bill Belichick's defense pinned their ears back and got to the quarterback. Got to Colt McCoy. And I don't think Colt McCoy is trash. Don't get me wrong, but he's definitely not a starting quarterback in this league. Judon was the leader of sacks headed into this thing. He's continued to cement that. And Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim's job have to be on the line right now, especially with Steve. I almost call that man Steve. Sean Payton waiting in the wings to get back in the NFL. He's just waiting, figuring out which team he wants to go to, and Arizona looks like a beautiful spot for him to do so. And so if he comes calling, they gonna answer that phone. If I was the Big Wills, which is the owner of the team, I would absolutely let him run that team. Absolutely. Find he can choose the GM for all I care. I don't care. You should have never hired Steve Keim. I mean, not Steve Keim. You shouldn't have never allowed Steve Keim to hire Kingsbury in the first place. But I've been saying that for years. Whatever. So, but anyway, that was Monday night's game. And so I appreciate y'all listening. This is week 14. Week 14. We down to the wire. If we were to start the NFL playoffs right now, the Bills would be number 1, the Chiefs would be number 2, the Ravens would be number 3, Titans would be number 4, Bengals would be right on the outside of all that. There'd be number 5, Dolphins would be 6, Patriots would be 7, and right on the bubble is the Chargers at 8. There's still there's still a lot of football to play. The AFC is still wide open. Everybody's in the hunt. There's nobody that has cemented anything yet. Now, different story in the NFC. The NFC, the Eagles have clinched a playoff berth, so they're the number 1 seed currently. The Vikings are number 2. The 49ers are number 3. The Bucks are number 4. The Cowboys are number 5. The Washington Commanders are number 6. And the Giants are number 7. Right on the bubble is the Seahawks and the Lions. And I am actually rooting for the Lions. Get you some. We'll get you some. So, if we started right now, that's how the playoffs would look. We'll see what happens. Now, I also want to look at the current 2023 draft order. Number 1 pick, obviously Houston with their one win, 11 losses, and 1 tie, a losing streak of 8. Then you got Denver, but they ain't picking because they traded that to Seattle. And they lost 5, so they're 3-10. And then Chicago, they lost 6, they're 3-10. Then Detroit, because they got that trade with the Rams, and so they'd have a top 5 pick. Philadelphia has a top 5 pick because New Orleans is 4-9, and they were supposed to pick here, but they of course traded their pick to the Eagles. They traded their pick to the Eagles, and they've lost 2. Arizona's right outside the top 5 with number 6. Indianapolis, number 7. Las Vegas Raiders, number 8. Carolina Panthers, number 9. And the Atlanta Falcons are number 10. Jacksonville's 11. They've been trying to do something. So, anyway, that is the draft order currently for the 2023 year. again, like we always say, there's still a lot of football left, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's all I got for today. I thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for listening. This is Chiefs Focus. Um, this is a Chiefs Focus podcast under the Chiefs Focus brand. And I thank you all for listening. Until next time, deuces.